Now we've gone ahead and we've imported the images into Photos. We created an album. That album's going to help us out tremendously. We also created this title right here. The album's going to help us because right now we're going to bring in those images and line them up down here on the timeline. What I need you to do is take the grade sheet that you were provided with, look on the back, and you can see the timeline right there as to how we right now are going to line up all the images. How do we access the images? You brought them into Photos, and how you get to Photos is up here on the top left hand side. See that picture of the camera? You go ahead and click on the camera and it will say Photos, Music, Apple TV, Sound Effects. Now it's Photos that we want. And over here you get to pick and choose your albums. So when I select this, right now we're lucky because we can see the actual album that we just created. We also, if you don't, then just go ahead and look inside these other albums. Here's all these images from the album we created, or my albums, in which we actually titled it. We can actually see these. I'm going to double click, and this is the album we made. Now, before we start bringing them into the timeline, what some people get confused at is the film has fighters that have black backgrounds. What you're looking at right now are the images in Photos, not in Final Cut. You're looking at the link over to Photos because of this button. These images, I created them and they all have transparent backgrounds. But when you bring them, import them into Photos, they're sitting in albums that have white. And so that transparent, you're looking right through it at the white, so you think it's a white background until we bring it down here to the timeline. And the moment we bring it to the timeline, it leaves Photos, it enters Final Cut, and it then takes up a black background. Now if it doesn't, let me know so I can clean it up and make it transparent so it sees through. But you shouldn't have any issues with any of these. So here we go. We already have this title right here. Okay. Now I'm looking at the grade sheet, the back of it. I'm looking at the timeline. Next one that's coming up, click, hold, drag, is the X-Wing Fighter right. Then after the X-Wing Fighter right, we have a cockpit. All I'm doing is following the script on that timeline from on the back side of the grade sheet. And then I go ahead and I'm going to go click, hold, drag, and bring in the X-Wing Fighter back. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in the cockpit again. And then cockpit again. Then I'm going to bring in the cruiser. And then I'm going to bring in, here you can see that the next is going to be the explosion. I'm not going to bring it in right now. I'm going to show you a trick later that we can keep all of this black later on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a title. How do I access titles? Right up here, I click on that T. I'm looking for a basic title because all I want is black. So I'm going to go click, hold, drag. Come on, drop it in. I'm going to clear, oh come on. I'm going to clear this background here later on. We're not going to do anything to this title. I'll explain how we're going to use it later on. I'm going to go back to my images, click, and the last thing I need is the cockpit again. Click, hold, drag, and now I look at my timeline and we're completely set up to go ahead and start editing. Now I want to show you two things before we start editing. One of them is, what if I don't want this cruiser here? What if I want it right here? I can go click, hold, drag, and I can bring it back in and drop it. Notice how, watch this opening. The two are going to separate, the two clips. See how they separated? I'm going to do, how about I do it right here between the title and there we go. See how it separates? How about this? I'm going to bring it to the end. I can drop it in there. I can bring it over here. The two clips will separate. I drop it in. What if I want to bring it back and put it back? I can go click, hold, drag, and it should be right there. Okay? Why don't you try it? The other thing I'm going to do is I want to show you, what if I accidentally put the cockpit in the wrong place? Oops, I don't want it there. Matter of fact, I'm going to hit the delete key. I don't want it there at all. delete. All I did was highlight it and hit the delete key. Well, if I want it back, if you mess up, do not get frustrated if you get messed up. Go edit, undo, delete, and see how it's back. How about this? Edit, undo, delete, and it's back again. Now everything's back to normal. The only thing I still am missing is this cockpit shouldn't be here. I moved it and the cockpit should actually be there. What if I want to zoom in on a clip, any clip, and I want to work on it, but I want to be a little more zoomed in? The way you zoom in and out is put the playhead where you want it, and then come over here to where there's a picture of a clip, and then this lower ball right here, you go click, hold, drag. Whoops, wrong one. I'm going to come up here to this one, click, hold, drag, and right now what I'm doing is I'm actually zooming in and I'm zooming out. See how it's getting? Or I can zoom back in again. I like to make it so I can see everything. Whoops. Everything. All the timeline at once. But if you need to do zoom in to make detailed changes later on, that's your friend right there. Pull on that space bar right there and you're going to find you'll be able to zoom in and get a lot of good work done. Okay, I'm going to click go off it. So as of now, you're shown how to bring in the images. You're shown how to zoom in and out. You're shown how to delete. You're shown how to edit, undo. If you accidentally do delete, or if you do anything wrong, you don't like it, your best friend is edit, undo. And you're also shown how to click, hold, drag, and move clips anywhere that you wanted on the screen. That's it. Let's move on to the next step, in which we'll begin editing our film.